All right, good morning, traders. Today is August 21st, 2023. My name is John Kerrigan. I moderate the BYOB trading room here at Hit and Run Candlesticks. My SPY pivot this morning, 436.45. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. FNGU, diamonds, the Dow, and the QQQ, aka the NASDAQ, are in daily downtrends, dipping far from their recent highs back to the uptrend lines. SPY and IWM are very extended in 2-hour downtrends. There are the daily is well below the 17, but let me just say there's no pivot made yet to put them in technically downtrends, daily downtrends at this time. So we do have 2-hour downtrends, but not daily yet because we haven't got a lower high. We have been making lower lows on the daily chart day after day after day. So it's just a pullback, a daily pullback, but not a daily downtrend yet. Okay, UNG is hanging on to the uptrend by testing the uptrend line near the midpoint of their recent highs. USO, crude oil, and the US dollar index are bullish in daily uptrends. I don't expect them to last too much longer. I really expect them both to go into bull flags. I expect them to stay in their daily bullish uptrends, but I think they'll probably switch into daily bull flags. We'll see what happens. Gold and silver remain bearish on the daily chart, and they are in downtrends at this time. Now, let's go look at the market. So, this is a 2-day chart of the SPY. And let's just blow it up a little bit. And let's drag it over. And we can cut that back because we don't need that right now. All right, so it's a 2-hour chart. I'm just going to zoom out so you can see where we are in the bigger picture. All right, so here is the October low. Here's the March pivot right there. You can see we went up, came back, couldn't make a lower low, so we ran off to make higher highs. Market law number 4 right there. Market comes back, makes a higher high, pressure on the bulls to make the higher, pull back, make a higher low, pressure on the bulls to make a higher high, couldn't quite do it, come back, test the lows again, and they couldn't produce a lower low, so here we are making higher highs. So this is the market on a 2-day chart. Now, as you can see, we have a uptrend channel right here from the October lows, and we just kind of bounced around above it and below it and got up above it here, and then we tested this upside area, and now we're pulling back to the downside area where you can see where we bounced probably not Friday but Thursday right there. So we're getting a little bounce this morning. We'll see how far we go. Now, Friday's pivot was 439.60. I am thinking that they may run up and test that pivot from Friday's pivot, 439.60. Currently in the pre-market, we're at 438.56. We'll see how far they want to take it. Now, that's the bigger picture right there. So let's go take a look at another look. Now, here is the daily downtrend on the, well, this is the daily chart, not a daily downtrend, but here's the daily chart of the SPY. We have a trend line here, which has not been touched in over 10 days. And they've been kind of trading down through this channel. And what happens over the top, so if you take a measurement from here to where it started, and then you slap that in down here, you can see that what it did on one side, it does on the other. And now we're getting a little bounce. So we'll see what happens when it gets up to this trend line right here. So let's look at this on the hourly. so we can see how close it is. Now you can see here we are making some penetration here in the pre-market. So we'll see how they deal with that. So there's another look at the downtrend with a bounce, okay? Now if we go back and look at the daily chart, if you notice, yesterday's price action continued with the trend that it was in, making a lower low on the daily chart and, a lower low and a lower high. So we're gapping up this morning. Nothing says the downtrend is over other than the fact that we're just bouncing off of this trend that I identified back here. So you can see here's the bounce coming off this area right here. So nothing says that the downtrend is over. We're just going to have to play it safe. I'm expecting it to run back to the pivot about 439.60, and we'll see if they can climb over the pivot. If they happen to climb over the pivot, we're going to look for a bullish engulf situation where they take out the Thursday candle high. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think they will take out the Thursday candle high, but it's entirely possible that it happens. So there's the SPYs. Let's run back and take a look at it back here. Coming back into the downtrend line. Now we'll take a look at it on another chart. Here is our downtrend that we had in the 2 hours. So here's our rapid decrease. So we could come all the way back. Here is another downtrend line, which I've identified. It's possible if they get up over 439, they could meander their way all the way back up to this 444.14. We'll see what they want to do. First, they got to get over 439.60. So let's take this from here to here, put the quad lines in, and let's just see what it looks like. So we'll take the quad lines because they may want to run back to this midpoint here. So the midpoint is, so after we get through 439.60, we're looking at roughly 440.60, and then we could probably back this out a little bit more, and then we're looking at 442.40 right up through there. All right, first we got to get through 439.60, then comes 440, and then up to 442. We'll see what they want to do. So right now we're getting a bounce off of that uptrend line that started probably, I don't know, let's take a look at it. That uptrend line starts back in March of this year. So we'll see what happens. All right, now let's go to the daily chart and look at this. Look at the QQQ. All right, so here's QQQ pulling back. Notice on the QQQ, on the daily chart, we have a lower high and a lower low. We are in a daily downtrend for the QQQ. So here's the daily pullback. Here's our trend line. Nothing says that it doesn't belong out here somewhere. All right, so there's QQQ getting a bounce. Who knows if we got more downside to come. Back here, we're in the pre-markets. We're back at the 3 EMA. We'll see if they want to go back up and challenge the T-line, which would be the 8 EMA. But here's the QQQ pulling back to trend, now getting a small bounce. We'll see how they want to handle it here on the QQQ. Notice yesterday, lower high, lower low. Friday, lower high, lower low on the QQQ. Daily downtrend. We'll see if they can break it. In order to break that, well, we're just going to have to actually get right over this area right here. So they got a little bit of work to do to get up over this. So up over 365 would represent probably a break of this downtrend temporarily. We'll see if they get any follow through. Just poking it or spiking it really doesn't count. You need that follow through in order to break this downtrend. So here's the pullback. These two humps right here and right here represent the minor support. And we came all the way down here to test the major support. You can see we have a support line where this pullback, you can see, rallies off of this minor support here. So we'll put a support line right there. And you can see here's the pullback into the support line, obviously bouncing. And we'll see how far, if they're going to come back and test the downtrend line on the daily chart right there. So there's QQQ. Now let's take a look at FNGU. All right, so now this is the one that this is the one that really moves the markets because it's got all the heavyweights in it. So here's our FNGU, and our uptrend for FNGU is, let's just drag this out and see how close we get to it. Wow, that's pretty close. You could probably push that up a little bit, but probably doesn't belong there. Let's just play it safe and go with right about there. All right. So still more possible downside in the FNGU. Now we have a head and shoulders pattern. Here would be the left shoulder, right shoulder. This line right here represents the neckline. We break the neckline, and you can see here we are trading lower. We traded all the way down to the 140 area. So we have room to come down. There's no minor support. Well, actually no support till we get all the way down to the tops of these humps here. That's where the real support really exists. Right back here around 99. So still more room for this to drop on the FNGU. Of course, this will drag the market down with it. So let's not get too excited in the pre-morning activity. It's still early. There still could be more downside for the FNGU. So you can see here's our head and shoulders pattern coming down. Lower high, lower low. We have a daily downtrend. Probably going to run back and test this downtrend line right here. So FNGU could probably make it up to, in the next, maybe this today and tomorrow, back up to this 164 area. Maybe back up to 162. We'll see what it wants to do. Right now we're at 156. So there's FNGU. Now let's take a look at IWM. Okay, this is the Russell 2000. So it's got 2,000 stocks, a much broader picture. Notice the daily downtrend is not really a daily downtrend. We still have not put in the lower high yet. It's just pulled back. If we go to the 2-hour chart, okay, now we've got lower highs and lower lows, you can see. So we are in a 2-hour downtrend. Is a sharp pullback on the daily chart. Now, you can see IWM, these two humps right here and right here represent the minor support. We have gone well past the minor support all the way down here to check the major support area. So here we are bouncing off of the major support. We'll see how far they want to take it today. Again, the T-line's all the way back up to 187.29. And we could find some support at 188.36. So I don't know how far they can get today, but it's a lot of work to do. Not saying it can't happen. Tomorrow's turnaround Tuesday. We'll see what they want to do if they can get it all the way back up to 188.13. So there's IWM. Now, let's take a look at the diamonds. So here we are with the diamonds, lower high, lower low, daily downtrend. Still in this uptrend right through here. If we zoom out, you still have this uptrend line that exists. And you can see they pretty much came close to it. There's still some room there. They could come down. So diamonds still have some room to drop. We'll see what they want to do. This is the minor support, these two humps, the two valleys. Those are the major support. We're getting an early morning pre-market bounce right off of the minor support right up here. So we'll see what they want to do today. Nice rounded top, lower high, lower low, daily downtrend. So there's the diamonds. We did the QQQ, we did the SPY, we did the diamonds, we did the FNGU. Did we do the QQQ? Let's do it again anyway. Yep, QQQ. Here's our pullback straight to the trend line. All right, so now let's go look at the SMH. Let's go see what the semiconductors are doing. Still in their uptrend channel, pulling back. Notice minor support not holding. Major support looks like right through here. Looks like major support wants to hold right here. If the QQQs get below 143.50, there's a huge drop all the way down to this 132 area. So looking for the SMH to kind of hold on to its last move. We'll see what happens here. Like to just see it move to the right. But, you know, if the FNGU decides to drop, it could put some pressure on SMH. And we could see a pullback all the way to the 133, 132 area right now in the SMH. SMH, 2-hour downtrend. Notice on the daily chart, there is no higher low or, lower high or lower low pivot yet, okay? Plenty of candles making lower lows and lower highs, but no pivot. Notice the candle from nice green candle we had Friday. Actually, in all the charts, we had nice green candles. We gapped down and traded up, but they've made, all of them made lower lows and lower highs here. So we'll see what happens. There's the SMH. Now let's take a look at the XLF. Here's the XLF, daily downtrend. We have a lower low, a lower high and a lower low. Daily downtrend. These two humps right here, this represents the minor support. And you can see price action bouncing off the minor support area. Like to see it run back up there, test the trend line, the T line, and hopefully make it back up through the trend indicator. We'll see what it wants to do. So again, another week here. We'll see what they want, if they're going to add any more continuation to this. Notice, again, Friday's candle, gap down, traded up, nice green candle, but we got lower lows and lower highs. So the trend is still in it. This downtrend that we have on all these charts, this 2-hour, is still intact at this time, all right? We'll see what they do today. Now, they gave us a glimpse of hope on Friday by gapping down and trading up. But the hope could be false hope, because the trade up did not take out the previous day's candle. And we got lower highs and lower lows. Here's XLF. Daily downtrend, we have a lower high and a lower low on the XLF. So you can see right now, bouncing off of minor support. Major support would be right down here at 33.23. That's XLF. Now let's go look at the transports. All right, here's the transports. Now notice transports on the daily chart, no lower high, no lower low. We got lower lows on the transports, but looking for that lower high to show up on the daily chart. We'll see if we're going to get one, but it's definitely in a 2-hour. Here's a 2-hour downtrend with lower highs and lower lows. On the daily, the candle's making lower lows and lower highs, but no pivot yet made. So they're coming back, and they tested this hump right there. That's the minor support for the transports. Really sharp pullback on the transports. If we drag this out, let's just see how close they came to the midpoint. You can see here's the transports almost tagging the midpoint. But if we drag it over just a little bit to the point of origin, You can see they came right into the midpoint and got a huge bounce. Looks like they're getting a huge bounce this morning. So we'll see what happens. Now notice the candle for the IYT on the daily chart gaps down, runs all the way up, and then reverses to make a lower low. That's not a good sign. But this pre-morning activity, that looks pretty sweet. Really ugly candle on the IYT with a big tail sticking up in the sky right at the midpoint. So there's the pullback in the IYT. Now let's take a look at crude oil. So here we are with crude oil putting in higher lows and higher highs. Crude oil in that daily uptrend. Like to see this cool off for a couple weeks. And bull flag. So crude oil looking really strong. Keep an eye on CVX, Halliburton, Schlumberger, all of those oil producing stocks, PSX, all of those. Look for this to continue its trend to the upside. Finding support right on minor support. That's this hump way over here. You can see here's the pullback right there. So there's USO. Crude oil looking really bullish last week for the month of July. UNG, here's nat gas. Here's our uptrend. Starts down here at the low. And just kind of grab it up through there. And you can see we're pulling back. Pull back to the midpoint. If we put the quad lines in, drag this over. Here you are. You can see they went up, made a slightly higher high, pulled back to the midpoint, and now they've been hanging out here for 2 or 3 days. Like to see this midpoint hold. Here's our trend line. Here's a bounce off the trend line. Like to see us get back up to these highs up here. Right up there, the major resistance or the resistance area right here. So we'll see what happens. There's UNG. Now, take a look at gold. Gold just looks ugly. Downtrend, lower high. Trying to break through this support area to make the lower low. Gold not looking good at all. Silver producing just caught underneath this trend line here at the 23 area and back down to the support. So silver just kind of waffling down there. It's getting some lift this morning. I don't know what from, but we'll take a look at the US dollar. So here's the dollar. There's the daily chart of the US dollar. And the dollar continues to stay underneath 103, 104 area. As long as it stays underneath 103, 104, I'm probably going to remain bullish on the market. Now, in the recent days, this is a big rally to the upside, testing this 50 MA right there. So there's the dollar breaking this downtrend. See if it could come back and maybe find some support right through here and then rally up higher. But that's the dollar. We really don't want a higher dollar. Higher dollar makes our goods and services more expensive on the globe stage, on the global economies. So weaker dollar is much better. So we'll see what happens with the US dollar. Just kind of bull flagging here, making a rest right here at the 50, dealing with that falling 50 SMA. And if we look at the economic calendar, here's our economic calendar. Not much happening today. Existing home sales tomorrow at 10. Really light week. Wednesday, PMI composite comes out at 9:45. That'll probably cause some volatility right there. And then at the end of the week, we have Jerome Powell's going to speak at 10 in the morning. So we'll see what happens. So the two big days on the economic calendar are Wednesday and Friday. Now let's go back and take a look at our T2123. So I know I've got that 2122. So here we are with the T2122. We hung out in the oversold area for 2 or 3 days, and you can see us working our way back up. Maybe we can make it out of the sell zone into the chop zone, maybe back to the midpoint. We'll see what they want to do. We're still in a downtrend on this T21-22. Here's the highs coming right across the tops of those, back up to these area right here. So expecting T21-22, maybe make it up to this area, back up to this trend line. We'll see what it wants to do today. And 21-23 on the 15-minute chart. Here we are with Friday's price action. You can see the price action dip, and we closed in on the trend indicator right there. It's a possibility we turn it green this morning and make a rally back towards this falling 200 on the 15-minute chart. If we look at it on the 3-bar chart, we are now red. So on the bigger time frame, T21-23 is now red. And if you'd have bought the market here and sold it here, you'd have made good money. Notice now we're making our way back down. So follow these trend indicators on this 130 chart. Works out being very nice if you follow that. And that's it for this morning. All right, I'm going to take questions and turn the recorder off.